Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be playing with some collage tissues and recreating this page using masks in the background. So I'm working my craft journal. I'm just starting off with a quick layer of gesso, and the reason I'm doing this is the collage tissue that I'm using is actually printed and it's got colour on it. So it's never going to sit perfectly translucent on the page. So I wanted to make sure I had the white background so it did actually blend in with the background, if that makes sense. So by putting the gesso down, it means I will actually have that image look like it's been painted onto the page in the end. If I did it straight onto the craft, it would look a little bit odd. It would change the tone underneath her face and so on. It doesn't really matter if you're going to paint over the background anyway, but just if you want to sort of blend seamlessly, I suggest putting a little bit of gesso down behind it. So what I'm doing now is trying to colour match the background because I want this to blend in together almost. So I'm using a mix of a sky blue and a turquoise and blending the colours together pretty roughly. And same on the other side, so I'm going in, there was a little bit of purple, a purpley colour on it, so that's what I'm using to create the hair colour. Again, I've just watered down the gesso a little bit just to make it sort of flow, and then I'm going in with my finger, same colour as I did on the other side, to create the rest of her dress or tunic or whatever it is. So it's a technique that I really love doing, is taking bits of coloured pictures from a magazine or a piece of tissue paper like this. When I was travelling around, I used to take postcards and extend it. I used to challenge myself to sort of extend the image and match the colours. It's a really great way to sort of play around with colour mixing and trying to sort of get the colour as close as possible, and it can be lots of fun. So as you can see on this page, you know, I didn't draw that face, but I've kind of blended it into the whole page in the end. So now I'm going in with my Stabilo Oil pencil, and I think this is actually an intense pencil in indigo or a deep navy, because the original image sort of had bluish tones to the lines. Inktense pencils are pretty much the same as Stabilo Oil pencils. The only difference is they are water activated, as you can see, but once they are water activated, they are permanent. The Stabilo Oil pencil stays water reactive, so if you would like some permanence on your page, maybe have a look at the Inktense pencils. They kind of work in the same way. You can see I'm just with really light strokes with my water. I'm just activating that pencil and letting it bleed out a little bit. And it just gives a lovely almost two-tone effect to the hair, especially since I was a bit patchy with paint in the background, which I did deliberately so that I had a bit of movement and shape there. And then by putting the pencil over the top sort of really helps with that. I'm also sort of going in and trying to do a little bit of shading on the face, and it's kind of working. You can see me sort of going in and wetting things and dabbing it off. So just play around. The great thing with having the collage tissue there is you've got those lines that you can play around with. You can see where it should be darker or lighter. You may find, if you haven't sealed the collage tissue, that you get a little bit of wicking because the whatever water soluble medium you have is actually going into the fibre of the paper. So when I glued that piece down onto my page to begin with, I did obviously put a layer of gel medium underneath to stick the collage tissue down, but I also put a layer over the top, which I do with most of my collage pieces, and that kind of seals the page down, seals the fibres of the page, so it means you're not necessarily going to have things seeping into it. Now I'm going in with, I went in with my black Stabilo Oil pencil, and now I'm going over with some Gilt Gloss Spray, which is a goldy colour, and just splattering all over it. And I really love adding splatter, as you can see from my other page as well. It's a really unifying force. When I finish this, I was really liking it, but the thing that was bugging me about it was I had that strip of craft at the top, which I'd do on the other page as well, but it was more of a band on the other page because I had some on the bottom as well. So it looked a bit odd that I just had this bit at the top. It looked like I hadn't finished my painting. So I decided that I would go in and paint this background. Now I was originally going to spray, but my spray wasn't working very well. So I just went in with my paint instead. Whatever you've got will work. You can see I sort of roughly covered over my image with a sort of mask. It's not wet wipe. You could obviously do something a little bit more official than that, but I just used an old wet wipe. So the stencil I'm using is a Stencil Girl stencil. It's one of my favourites. As many of you know, I really love text and adding text, and because she's such a strong image, I love these strong words around her in the background. And the fact that I don't lose all the craft as well, you can still see that peeping through, but it's not as obvious as it was before. I really like, because I'd sort of splattered in the background too, I've still got those splatters coming up through as well, which I really like. Once I'd finished that, I wanted to add a quote to this page. So I decided that the perfect opportunity for this was to write it just across my image. And quite often with pages like this, I don't mind writing my quote on my image, because the quote to me is more important than the image itself. Obviously I really like it. I'm not going to write it straight across her face, but sort of that shoulder neck area isn't necessarily as important. So I don't mind writing it in there. So with my letters, I'm just using a thin black Posca paint pen. I did originally go with white, but I wanted the contrast of the black, so I went back over it with black. However, I am going back in with my white pen to give a little bit of a highlight to the letters. It is something I do with most of my lettering, and I find it just helps push it out from the background a little bit, so it makes it a bit of a focus. And it, you know, in distance like this, it doesn't seem to make much difference, but when you actually look at it close up, it really does help make the quote a focal point on the page. So really simple way to do this. You can see how beautiful this image is and how it's all blended in. I did end up adding a little bit of a collage on top with the butterflies. I had them lying around my page. Those from Tim Holtz. And yeah, it just really sort of, those colours captured it and sort of balanced off the page again at the end. So this is the final page. I was really happy with it. If you're looking for this collage tissue, it's from Natalie May. Link in the description box below. There's actually 4 images on this sheet, so you can have lots of fun with it. But thank you so much for watching. Have a go at colour matching images. Lots of fun, and until next time, bye for now.